Assalam. Queen Phoenix Ramadan L. Jackson, back in the light of Al Jazeera Cyber Network. Tonight's Sagittarius New Moon video conversation is regarding the celestial crowning of Michael Jackson and why Zionists hated him enough, passionately hated him enough, to frame child molester, entrap, okay, and attempt to murder him on numerous occasions. 9/11 was just the first one, right? One of the goals was to wipe him out of history completely, right? Because Michael Jackson had restored respect to the African man, okay? The African family, to humanity overall, because all of Africa, all humanity is African, right? Okay, so we're going to get started. Okay. So, so the answer was to a covert attempt to depose the sun, the black sun, from rising in the west. Okay. Spiritually speaking, spiritually speaking, if one is king of Africa, they're king of all humanity, because all of humanity is African, and everyone is aware all roads lead back to Mama Ra, to Mother Africa. And it was the Zionist Khazars' hatred that was born out of fear, for they knew their time had come. It was checkmate. If it was checkmate time, and Michael Jackson was the king born, or is the king, because he's a martyr, right? Is the king born to expose the fraudulent game of the fake black, with no spiritual ability, right? For Michael Joseph Jackson was born a true black nobility, and crowned in East and West Africa. Crowned in the East Africa, and also in the West. Okay? Now, among the world of man, Michael represents Jupiter. Okay, he represents the law. He represents the sword, the thunder, the lightning, the sword for Allah. Okay, of Allah. Now, the Khazar Zionist Neanderthal Israeli abomination knew their time was short. This meant game over, finish them. Because the Zionist lie of spiritual and mental supremacy would be exposed. Because till then, like back in the day, it was like, blacks are not blacks, but Africans were, the dark, your hued, richly hued Africans were, the first one's hired, last one's hired, first one's fired, and the game was, we can't find a decent black one who can fulfill these jobs, for the quotas and all this type of stuff, right? They were never good enough, so it was basically, the stereotypes. But Michael busted all those stereotypes. He proved to them that all of their commercial racism and spiritual racism was fraudulent. It was a lie that an African man, a richly hued African man, can achieve greatness far beyond the expectation of any. Okay? So that's what he proved. And he continues, his records, his history continues to prove that, to demonstrate that, okay? That an African man can attain the highest of heights, to which all try to emulate, because what we say, he suppressed Elvis, he suppressed the Beatles, he suppressed all of that, right? Okay, and the celestial, the universe has proven that he's very honored by the universe, because the universe been demonstrated all of this time, right? The full moon, a Pisces full moon on his birthday, the Virgo new moon on his day of birth, and in his birth signs. We have the north nodes, and the south nodes going to Virgo and Pisces, right? And that's the north node is the direction mankind is supposed to follow, right? Demonstrates the direction mankind is supposed to follow. So the north node jumped in, I believe it was November 12th. It went back and it went into Virgo, right? And of course, Michael, the king, is of the Virgoan, energy. So that is his birth sign, his sun sign rather. So that demonstrates the direction we are supposed to go in. Then the Gemini new moon, full moon on his actual birthday on the moon calendar, right? So that we've been given numerous signs that he is the chosen one, and he is the direction that humanity has to follow. And we can also see, as we said, that his great, phenomenal humanitarian efforts that he's put forth. And not only that, but there has been in this, 21st, 19th, 18th, 16th, 17th, 16th, 15th, all the way back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have we never, and the caliphate, right? And have we never ever seen such humanitarian efforts? We also talked about that prior to the Prophet born of a virgin's arrival, that Michael would arrive, right? And we said also Michael's the closest one. The Archangel Michael is the closest one to, whose character is closest to Allah, right? Also, we talked about Michael, the Archangel Michael, being a protector of humanity. We know no one tried to protect humanity. And like I said, all the way down back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Caliphate. Now, I won't say Prophet born of a virgin, because Prophet Muhammad came after him, right? Because we all know Prophet of Virgin is very honorable too. But we're just speaking of these current times, and that is of these current times, in over 5 to 6 to 7, 800 years, since the 1400s, right? We have never seen, or since the 7th century, right? We have never seen a more humanitarian human being, okay, on this, that walked the earth, and so gentle, so caring. Okay, so that is the reason he was maligned, in order to stigmatize him, and as you say, put some salt on his shoulder so he couldn't fly, right? But more than that, put some salt on the shoulder because Michael represents all humanity, but because he is of the African, richly hued, let's say his roots are, are from, not only from Africa, but basically fresh from Africa, if you will, comparing to, when humanity first left out of Africa, and all of them left out hued, and they come back non-hued, right? So he basically freshly hued out of Africa, and they don't want that commercial world, because racism is not about, hued versus non-hued. It's about this commercial world versus the natural world, and Michael represents the natural world, the world of Allah. Okay, the will of Allah. Then you have the commercial world that represents the will of Iblis, right? And that's the world that doesn't want the natural world and the natural man, because Africa represents the natural man. That's the world that the commercial world of Iblis doesn't want humanity, white, the humanity with less hue, from all the way to the humanity with greatly hue. Okay, that's the one that the Zionist commercial world does not want to become aware of. Let's say not only the greatness of their hued brothers and sisters, but of the spiritual of their own positive, spiritual benevolence, their spiritual powers, right? Abilities, right? Because the one with the crown open, it can communicate. The one that's the king is supposed to communicate, um, represent Allah on earth, Allah's will on earth, right? But he can only do that if his crown is open, if he's aware of if he's awakened, if he's aware. And Michael, is the king, so his crown is open. And as I said, he's a martyr, so I don't refer to him in the past tense. They lived, though we know it not, right? Okay, so that's the case. That's why he was repressed, because he represented the natural world. He represented the Allah's world, the natural world. The birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees, the environment. He represented life. Okay, as it was created. Okay, divine life. Okay, and all life is divine. Okay, so that, as I said, because the Khazar Zionist Neanderthals, and we said hybrids, right? Lowbreds, basically, dog nation, right? The Khazar Zionist Neanderthals, they knew their time had ended, okay, and they were ready to be exposed because the golden child had arrived. The fraud would no longer continue with the existence of the golden child, Mikhail, Joseph, Yusuf, Jacob's son, right? Jackson. Michael represented Jacob's son and a true heir to the black nobility, okay? The throne of black nobility. So that's the thing. They don't want natural men and women to appear to have any nobility. So, as I said, the smear campaign was waged against Michael, right, to depose him. But alhamdulillah, Allah saved him, okay, every time. Now, born a natural leader, Michael Joseph Jackson was just too dangerous to leave unchecked for their system. And like Jupiter, his powerful reputation was expanding continuously. Thus, little 5-year-old Michael Joseph Jackson of the Jackson 5 had grew to become a global threat to the future of the commercial Zionist cabal and its quest for global imperialism. It is this gross deception dwelling among us, haunting our spiritual humanity, extending as far back to the time of Prophet Abraham, with the birth of his 2 sons, Ishmael and Isaac, to the birth of his grandsons, who were said to be twins. Speaking of twins, right? Birth of Isaac and Jacob. And such a deception grounds the spiritual and mental progression of man. Behind this wall of commercial deception, okay, created by the Khazar, Gog, and Magog, humanity is oppressed, raped, commercially masterminded, led into war. Nations are destroyed, enslaved, slaughtered, and starved to death. What is the deception? This very tall tale begins with the birth of Isaac and Jacob, right? Actually begins with the birth of Ishmael and Isaac. They're both descendants of the true black nobility, or nobility, but because we're going to get into that, further into that, okay? Heirs of true nobility, okay? Now they can say nobility, right? That's all good, but it's like, Why do they have to say black nobility? Why is black important? Why is the black nobility important? Right? Because Abraham was noble. He's a noble man. He's a prophet. All prophets are noble. All their children are noble. Well, a prophet, what was it? Noah was a